Welcome. Remember the 5th of November. Good to be back, everybody. How's it going, Tracker and Cat?
Doing great. It's great to be back.
Do you always use that attempt at sexy voice at the beginning of every morning show
Yeah,
back then?
it's kind of like I got it from, Dax Shepard from his the Armchair Expert podcast. He's like, "Welcome, welcome, welcome." I don't
Mm,
know.
It's
I
nice
mm.
way
try
to.
to I try to imitate him. He's my
Aw,
hero, especially because of that the famous movie back in like 2002 or
man,
something.
you don't have to imitate anybody. You're like already my
Idiocracy.
you're already my hero.
Idiocracy, yeah. That's true. That's a good one.
It was a good one. But yeah, this is like our once every 3 month podcast now. Maybe once every 6 months. And I
Yeah, we
don't even
really
know what
slowed
it's
our
turned
roll
into.
instead of doing it like every week. Matt and I stopped doing the morning show. We stopped doing the Triumvirate every Tuesday, and yeah. So, but you know what? We've been noticing the pattern. We've been talking about that pattern for a long time. Stock market jumps up on Monday, then it's like down on Tuesday, and then Tuesday night we would do the show, and like everything's in the dumps. And so we're gonna do it. We're on a Wednesday now, and we're already seeing like the recovery from yesterday started today. Pretty good
Yeah,
too, actually.
and
Um,
like, and I'll do IWM, and I'll let you just take over with the SPY and the QQQ tracker. But what I'm seeing is like even with all that fear out there in the crypto world, there is really nothing scary about IWM. Even the past couple of days, it never really got below 240. Never really got that. And honesty here, if you just like drew kind of a line at the previous top, like with all the bodies of these candles like right here,
right.
it looks like it's just building a base on top of previous 2024 and 2021 levels, which is incredibly bullish. Uh, it just they wanted to tank crypto assets even more before there's maybe some kind of narrative shift to make them pump to the moon. So, I mean, just looking at IWM, it makes me have no fear at all with what I'm seeing. Especially, it's just a waiting game because when I put back on those fibs that I had before, it's from the 2018 top and the bottom. This is essentially just waiting to break this 250 zone to go to Boomtown. So I think IWM is telling us that things are going to be okay. They're telling us that it's still risk on season. And for some reason, they just decided to get liquidity out of crypto and maybe just pump it into other things temporarily to get everybody panicking. But really, this is telling everybody, it should be telling everybody that this is ready to continue the journey to the moon once it breaks 250. So that's all I'm waiting for IWM. What are you
You're right.
seeing on?
I was gonna say, you know, so if you're new watching the show and you haven't seen a lot of maps charts before, you can really see how like right there in 2021 and then 2025 it was the top was resistance, it got rejected, went back down to like the 886, and then but this time it got higher than the previous two resistances and is testing back down to it as support potentially. That's what we're talking about. And
Yeah,
overall, you know, you just look at this chart and then you've got the big low, the pandemic low, then higher highs and then higher lows, and now we're working on a new higher high. So
yeah. I mean, IWM made its first higher high in how many years since 2021? Yeah, in like 4 years, its first higher high right here. So this is bullish market structure, higher highs and higher lows. So
yeah,
I cannot be concerned with it at all.
what else hasn't had new higher highs since 2021?
Altcoins, the
Yeah,
majority of the altcoins. Yeah, but they're not near. Most of them are not even close to breaking into all time high territory.
right. They're still
Most of
kind
them.
of suffering from their right. People are waiting. People waiting to see if anyone else will blink and buy first.
Yeah, they're waiting. They're waiting for things to moon, and then they'll buy. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, I was just going to show you. I figured we could look at your spy chart. I'll show you my spy chart. I don't have um, a QQQ.
Yeah, my SPY, my chart here. Do I have some fibs on here? Yeah, I have some fibs on here. I have also again square as well. But I think what's important is just the fib here from the 2021 top and the bottom. So IWM kind of from like the same period of the fib, maybe a little bit earlier from the high in 2018, but really it's struggling to break this 1.618 right now. But SPY already broke it, and it's going towards the 2.272. So that is likely the next target without any hesitation. So there could be some pullbacks along the way, but I think the 720s are coming for SPY. So this is still an extremely bullish chart. Everybody sees this V-shaped recovery, and they're like, well, it's got to crash. It's got to crash. It's got to crash. It did go up, 40% in a short period of time since April, and that's a pretty huge gain. So could it correct? I'm sure it could. But, I mean, always preparing for a crash, in my eyes, is not really a strategy. You just got to keep following the momentum. And I know it's just I don't like to chase, but at the same time, there is a destination, and likely the destination is probably into the 720s before any kind of a pullback, like major pullback.
Yeah, I think Kat was looking at some of his charts and talking about how the 2.272 was sort of a cycle ender sometimes. Is that right, Kat? Am I remembering that correctly?
Uh-oh.
All examples of that. There's a lot of...
Oh, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, anyway. Yeah, let me show my SPY chart here.
No, we can hear you, Kat.
No, I think my internet's probably bad. I'm trackering. That's what I'm doing. But
you sound just fine. But so where was the 272?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of examples of 2.272. You got like the well, I mean, I can look for it, but it's fine. You got the Bitcoin 2015, 2017. You got Doge 2020, 2021. You got like Amazon during the last cycle. You got a lot of things like just kind of hitting 2.272, and that's it. Nvidia hit 2.272 just last year, and it stalled for a whole year, and then it kept going. But it was a little bit scary at that time. So yeah, 2.272 is pretty big.
Yeah. So that could be the destination it wants to go before there's any kind of a pullback. And once it gets there, we'll see how price reacts. But as usual, at high time frame resistance, we got to be a little bit cautious at that zone.
All right. I just want to show my SPY chart real quick, and then while it's fresh in our brains. Thanks. All right. Let's see. So here's my SPY. I need to switch my screens. All right. So interestingly enough, I was testing out this idea that maybe what we've got here, I kind of did a reset after the the mortgage crisis. It's like, what if I start resetting there? And the way Matt's got his chart, I think it's, do you start down here, or you start from the banking crisis as well?
Whatever the pivot low is, so probably the banking crisis.
So probably something like, oops, I've got it backwards. Hang on one second. No, I was going to do stuff like this. But like something from here to here, and then, oh gosh. Don't extend. There. Shucks. Oh, maybe it's to right here. No. Never mind. One of the things I've been playing a lot with Matt's fibs. Matt has had these retracement fibs for a long time, and then I added a couple that I worked together with Grok to figure out. And so, whenever I do a chart, I look for a place where you can restart a pattern, and then sort of an important halfway point where price checks up to it, and then back from below, and then checks back down to it from above. And this just looked like a really good place to reset. And I was thinking that when I start from the 2009 and then run it up and I just kind of bring the 50% level to right here at the pandemic. No, I'm sorry, that's the pandemic. This is the shock that everyone forgets about that we had before the pandemic in 2020, the end of 2018. And look, so what it kind of did was it went up to the 786, lost the 702 for a little bit, then goes back up, and then the 886 is kind of right where things couldn't get it struggled to couldn't get higher. It put a toe over it and then dropped all the way back down to the 786. If you just think about it as ratios, I see these patterns a lot. When Katz talked about his Palantiring candidates, he talks about how price comes right up to the 886, gets rejected the first time. Sometimes it gets rejected the second or third time even, but then once it can get over it, then it can really start to run again. And so I kind of see prices wanting to really run for the SPY up to 819 or so. This is a fib extension from the pandemic low to the high we had in 2021, and then that October low in 2022, and it projects. Let's see, what 100 back to the 50%, to the 200, and I'm projecting to the 200 back to the 150, and then to the 300%. So I've kind of got this idea of the SPY could just kind of keep, just like we had back here from 2020 on, and it just kind of it had a V-shaped recovery and then just kept going up higher, basically through two fib retracement levels, that we could have the same thing right here, where it pulls back so it can push up through two retracement levels. Anyway, that's just the idea. This is what I'm looking at for the SPY. I don't see us hopping anytime soon necessarily. I wish I could go back and recreate Matt's thing where he's got the 2.272, but we could go up to like my wave fours are often resistance the very first time, so that'd be resistance around 740, and then it has to check back down lower and then try to break through it a second time. Then it gets over, turns this 150 level into support, goes higher, comes back, tests that support, and then goes higher from there. So anyway, I just see the SPY as continuing on. And one thing I want to point out for people that just don't, believe that things just keep going. I mean, here's the SPY. Ever since the banking crisis, we've stayed in this is all log scale. We've stayed in a very tight channel all the way up, right up until this moment. We're still in this channel, and I don't see any reason for us to leave the channel so long as we're above the weekly moving average 300. You can see here, I've got two lines. A 75 is the thicker orange, and a 300 is the thinner orange. And we've really never, except for the pandemic, where it wicked through it just temporarily and got right back over it. That's the only time we've touched the moving average 300 since 2012. Anyway, I don't see any reason for it to change. And you'll know if it does start to change because it'll drop through the moving average 75 first. But we're well over the 75 right now, and I think there's a lot of momentum to just keep going. So anyway, that was a lot longer to talk about the SPY than I meant for us to. Go ahead and give us your take on the QQQ, Matt.
Yeah. Well, before I got another 2.272 right here.
Oh,
gold, right?
Yeah, look at that.
I know Kat was talking about it. Like from the 2011 top and the 2015 bottom, it is getting rejected pretty massively right now from the 41.52. So this is something that can happen to like the SPY if it gets there as well. So we can see it just had a destination. Once it broke the 1.618, it just broke out pretty massively to that target, got a lot of liquidity above it, and then just got below. But not only that, this 4,000 level is also a pretty interesting fib. If you go to a different time period, which is from this time period of 2020 down towards the 2022, it's also starting to get rejected at this 3.618 here, which is at 4,000. So that's interesting as well. So 4,000, 4,100. This could be good for risk on. What do you say about that, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of looked into that in the past few weeks or so. I was looking through. If you want to flip over to my chart here real quick, and this is more of like a static chart that I did on X. You can see that pretty much whenever the bottom over here is the small cap IWM Russell 2000 monthly, the top over here is gold. And really, before IWM or Russell 2000 small caps run up, it seems like liquidity would kind of go into gold first, and they generally have a pretty decent run. And then whenever gold starts to kind of cool down or consolidates or even go down a little bit, that's when you have to break out of the small caps or IWM, which indicates more of a risk on environment. And that's when it really starts to run up for a while. Now, we are at a very, very interesting juncture here because you look at like the cycles. If you look at here, seems a little bit of a shorter kind of cycle here. Gold also had a little bit of a shorter cycle. You see over here, gold has a little bit of a longer cycle here for about 2 years, and then IWM is consolidating sideways. And then as soon as this breakout over here, gold basically had topped in August of 2020, and IWM or Russell 2000 had made his all-time high God candle here in November 2020, just 2 or 3 months after that. And it just kept running up for many months and just kind of got everything else just really, euphoric there for a very long time until it topped. And then we currently have an even longer liquidity cycle where we have consolidated sideways over here for IWM for about how many years? Like 4 years? Man, big giant cup and handle, another deleveraging event. While gold, which just kind of keep going up here for about 3 years straight. So there's a lot of liquidity that's being built up over here. I don't mean to get you guys all horny and get all, there's a lot of liquidity that's being built up here. I mean, the balls have been loaded, like the bases have been loaded, I should say.
Balls.
Yeah, baseball. Sorry, I just got confused. But
you like balls, loaded balls.
It is what it is. Doesn't matter what I like. If they're loaded, they're loaded. And then it's. I think we're getting to the point where IWM, and this IWM did end up closing. This is from like a couple weeks, a few weeks ago. IWM did end up closing with an all-time high candle, which is just like that. So that's why I'm thinking, hey, maybe gold is at least consolidating sideways here and cool down a little bit. It's been made a very, very big parabolic move for about 3 years straight. So I think we're kind of getting to the point where we're going to have a little bit of rotation here. A lot of liquidity has been building up, and it may be just waiting for an excuse to kind of turn around to do something else. Here is another chart here I just wanted to show you guys in terms of what I think, to try to put into perspective what Tracker was saying and also what Matt was saying. In general, you have about like 4 cycles down there that I'm seeing here for Russell 2000. In general, whenever you have a little bit of a breakout of the IWM into all-time high territory, I'm trying to line up these things. My mouse is not very good. But anyway, whenever you have like IWM breakout into all-time high territory, usually S&P 500 cools down here. You can see how it kind of broke out and just kind of went up a lot higher. The S&P 500 was kind of muted there for a few months. Same thing over here, had a breakout. S&P 500 did go up a little bit. It was kind of muted here. Same thing, 2020. I don't know if you remember, like Nvidia did like nothing for like 7 months when after it broke out. It just kept on going. Everything else was pumping, and Nvidia just did nothing for like 7 or 8 months. SP 500 also was muted. So I wonder if we're going to start to have at least a little bit of not mutation, but rotation here, where with IWM breakout here, if we are truly able to confirm that, I think it's not surprising us the SPY would just kind of go sideways here and cool down, get everybody all like flustered. But then IWM actually does pretty well in the underlying assets of really the more risk on stuff like Cypher, Iron, SoFi, all these kind of risk on names. They've been doing extremely well when people are crying that the market top is in. Like, it makes no sense to me whatsoever based on what I'm seeing. So that's I'm gonna end with that. I'm gonna pass it back to you guys.
All right. Yeah, I got a QQQ chart I want to add to the mix too. So let me do that. Switch screens.
While Matt's bringing that up, I just want to mention, you can kind of think of it like gold, large caps, and small caps as like a triangle. And when you've got too much money, you've made so much money in the large caps, and you start getting worried, so you start taking your profits and pouring it into something that seems like a safe asset like gold. But then now you've got both gold and large caps are too expensive. So you want to go somewhere where there's value, and that's where the small caps come in.
Yeah. On my QQQ chart, though, I still think it's really ready to continue higher as well. I got a couple of things to show you. First off is the same fib from the 2021 to the 2022. That's from the same fib as the SPY. And this is actually a little bit further away from the 2.272, so maybe it has some catching up to do against the SPY because it's a little bit ahead. So that's actually a little bit more bullish too for the QQQ and technology. And since it broke the 1.618, it's never really even looked back. And a lot of people are like, well, when's it going to back test? When's it going to get back down there? And it might not. And the reason why is because if I just put on my GAN here and I delete this fib, and we can just take a look at it's breaking an arc here, right? And this is the 45-degree angle that's been pretty true for the history of the chart since 2002, right? Since the .com bottom. It's been basically a resistance the majority of the time. Then it flipped to a support a little bit, then a resistance again, but now it's melting up back on top of it. And not only that, it finally got above this arc. And that could offer a good foundation of support. So if we're looking for a crash, it might not even happen. I mean, maybe it'll come back down to like 612, 610 or something, maybe that. But this is telling me it's going to just keep gravitating higher, probably to that 2.272 fib. So I think the outperformance of QQQ and maybe IWM and everything else can continue. So this is just looking more and more bullish, and I'm not having any kind of fear of a big collapse. And I still think we're on for what was that fib again? Yeah, we're on for at least 740s for the QQQ, maybe even the 880s after that, right? The arcs go all the way up here, and the 840s all the way down towards the 740s, depending on time. And even the next level up here is way up here. I'm not saying it's going to get to 2400. That'd just be insane. But maybe like way down the road, maybe that's going to be the destination decades from now, or who knows. But in the meantime, we don't have to worry about that, but we can just focus on this is a break. It's a breakout, right? It's a breakout above a new symmetrical level, and it has potential to hold, and it has great potential to continue to the 700s and beyond. So no chart is really showing me any concern at all. I mean, the only thing that's gotten people like a little bit confused is altcoins, and we will talk about that a little bit later. But you have any other charts, Tracker?
No, that was. Do we talk about Bitcoin now?
Yeah, we can move on, or we could talk about Tesla or whatever because of the vote tomorrow. If you wanted to move on to that,
sure. Let's do let's do Tesla and Nvidia and definitely and Palantir before we do the Palantiring stuff.
Yeah, before we move on to crypto, let's just finish up with stocks here. And I wanted to show this chart because I've been showing this chart forever. And guess what hit this week? The top of the Gann square again, right? 473 was hit, and the top of the candle went to 474.07. So Tesla is at resistance at a very important event. Is that scary, or is it time to break free? I mean, if it was the first time like here, it's a little bit more scary, but I think the way it's been behaving, it's pretty much just looking ready to kind of break out. I'm not saying the vote's going to push it and make it break out, but I'm saying in time, it's going to break out. And go ahead.
It's like they know that it's important. Like the stock's in an important place because like this important vote's coming out or whatnot. Like, what if they just say no, Elon, you can't have your pay package? Then he'll like, I wonder, maybe I'll just leave Tesla then. And then you would see the stock plunge after that.
Yeah. I know that's the fear,
out
there. That's the fear out there. But
it looks like a bit like a bull flag. The little bit we've got there now.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just a resistance point, and it's only resistance until it's not, right? So we just got to wait patiently until it breaks. So let's take that off. And a lot of people think, oh, it's just like December of last year. And I'm like, no, it's not, because it has never done this before. 2 monthly candles closed above the previous 2021 high. It never did that in December of last year. It never. right?
Right.
The 414.50 was seriously rejected 2 months in a row, December and January, and that just led to the collapse of a higher low, right? And a lot of people were panicking down there, and it went a lot lower than I expected. But in the end, all you got to do is keep buying more, and then you have more shares. And then when it goes back to all-time highs, boo-hoo, right? I have more money. So it doesn't really matter in the end if you are holding for the longer term. So we can see that this is different behavior than before. And I think all we're waiting on, as Kat kind of pointed out before too, is like Bollinger Band expansion. It's not expanding yet. In fact, it is still a little bit contracting. But it could expand very easily with one giant impulse move higher, right? And once we get that push higher, it's just going to go to the 1.272 fib, just like everything else. And that's at 600. So I think we're just a few steps away to 600. And it's going to take breaking that GAN level, right? The level I just showed you before right here, which is 473. So if we get a weekly candle close, like around 474 or so, I think we could actually start to see some fireworks in this stock. But until then, the one level I'm watching the most, as I've been talking about all the time on X, is this most recent fib here. It's the linear scale, the 457.27. I'm watching that the most because we have actually never closed any weekly candle above it. Even last week, it closed at 456.56. So still, we're working on it. It's the linear scale 886. That's what I'm watching the most. So if we finish off the week above that, I think all-time highs are going to become automatic. All right. Tracker.
All right. I've got a Tesla chart to share. It's not the same one that I was. It's the same Tesla chart, but it's not the one that I put out last week. Just kind of a little bit of a warning. Let's see. Let's just lifetime of Tesla here, and I kind of did my own little Gann chart here, and you can kind of basically see how Tesla, it builds a base, runs up higher, built a really long base. It took like 1.5 of these Gann vertical block periods, then runs up massively higher. And then now we've been like in this big old range here that really you can most markedly look at by the 101.81 low to that 414.50 high. And we're still, even now in 2025, we're still looking back to these highs and lows, at least I am, for what could be happening next. It was really exciting when we did get that new higher high over the 414.50 to this 46.44, and then, but it couldn't get over the 1.114, and so what did it do? It dropped all the way back. By all accounts, it really should have held up at the 618 here. I don't know. It's Tesla, so it almost went back to this 50% level all the way over again. This is on a log scale chart. This is halfway between 101.81 and 414.50, halfway in terms of a log scale retracement. Comes all the way back to test it again. And now it's like runs up to the 886, can't get back. It goes back to the 702. And then this was that exciting point where it did do that bullish engulfing candle that went through the 886. And then we get some closing candlesticks, even on the monthly chart that Matt just showed you above the 414.50 high. So the scary thing that I kind of showed in a post just a couple of days ago was that if it can't get over, this is like the second attempt at the 114. If it can't get over it again, the really scary thing is that it could come back to the 618 again. Just like I said, by all accounts, it should have stopped to the 618 and then can't come back up. So if it can't get above the 114, I'm just, why are you not, come on, click. I look out for another test of the 618, which is like 242. But the good news is if it can get through the 114, then look to the 1272 or the 1414. So that's like the 607, 741, and you can see in the Gann chart that I've got here, it could easily be headed for that 741 level. If it did go lower, maybe it just goes to the 702 or even the 786. It just did so much price discovery here. But if it did come back this far, it just pulls it back farther for it to go higher the next time. But you've been hearing me talk about that for years now. But anyway, again, it's another big crux. Tomorrow's vote will be pretty important. That's all I've got to say about Tesla. So, as far as risk reward, it's pretty scary. It's kind of spooky, right? If your cost is down here because you bought in April, that's fantastic. Or if you bought here in June, that's fantastic. Don't worry about it. Just hang in there. But if you bought in the last couple months, you might, I don't know, you might want to buy some protection. All right, that's all I wanted to say about Tesla. You have anything to add, Kat?
He doesn't believe in protection.
Yeah, I don't really like lambskin. You've talked about protection, right?
I just said the same. I knew you were going to talk about. Man, we're on the same wavelength.
I was going to say lambskin, though.
Yeah, that's true. The lambskin caught me off guard, but
Protection.
well played. Yes.
I mean, I'm just going to say this one thing. Either way, we're screwed because if we don't vote, if we don't give, Elon the package, whatever that means, then he's leaving and it's all bad, but he's staying. He's a terrible CEO anyway, so it's not good for Tesla.
It's that we're afraid he's going to leave, right? I mean, they might vote no on the package, and he might just say nothing for 2 days, and the stock tanks. And he comes out and says, I'm not going to leave Tesla. It's too important to me. And the stock goes on a meteoric rise after that.
So that way, Kimball can buy a little bit more. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I see a very similar kind of phase. These are a lower time frame thing, so it doesn't necessarily going to work out. But this is a daily chart for Tesla. Bollinger Band. I like things whenever it touched the lower Bollinger Band and then go up, touch the upper Bollinger Band, and just kind of ride the 20 up. That's what I generally like. This is it wants to accelerate to the upside kind of thing. You can see how it kind of did that over here. You can see how, you kind of did that over here. And you can see it kind of reverse too, you can kind of flip that, same thing here. I just think that the morphology is suggesting that it wants to run up. But again, I'm just kind of reading tea leaves here because it's kind of keeping everybody in suspense in terms of that. But looking at Bollinger morphology, if I had to bet, I bet it's 80, 85% up, 15, 20% down. That's what this is looking like to me, especially the Bollinger Band kind of expanding here a little bit.
I 100% agree with you. It is poised to go higher.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I have to say. And I also like the fact that there's fear going to events, and it's generally better than not having fear and everybody's all happy and, longing. On Tesla, 100x leverage, whatever, it doesn't really feel like that environment.
Then there's just this one other thing that I used to talk about a lot, how it just kind of feels like Bitcoin and Tesla move together, not because they're necessarily tied together, but just, whenever Bitcoin gets a big scare, but then moves up higher, I think we're thinking it's going to do now, Tesla often follows suit.
Oh, you're scaring me. Oh, man.
So you're saying Tesla is going to go way down just like Bitcoin?
No. Tesla already did whatever it was going to do when Bitcoin had its scare.
Okay.
So, and all it did was what made it the bottom of the bull flag, maybe.
Oh, Cat has an arrow down to 200 again.
He's just messing around. He's trying to reverse the mojo of me being bullish.
Oh no! Oh, upside down face too.
Down face.
Oh no! This is getting scary.
This is hilarious. This is not the show that we were talking about doing when we were talking about this earlier. We were going to try to do this rapid fire, try to get through 27 stocks. And
well, you already messed it up with your SPY chart trackers.
You're right.
So.
We've fallen back into this. Into
there's the ideal state and there's the reality. The reality is that we're just going to take our damn time and talk about what we want to talk about. So.
Yeah. We've fallen into what our comfortable show here, which I like. Comfortable show.
Trekker, now I know you have something you want to share on Palantir, so go for it. Man.
Okay, thanks.
I know we all have. I don't really have anything with Palantir, but I know you do, Kat. It is your it is your Palantiring candidate.
Yeah. All right, this is my Palantir chart. Thank you. Let's see. What I did here was, all right. So Palantir is one of those stocks where it kind of started low, it got really exciting, but then ran down and made a new lower low. And if you bought anywhere down here, then you're golden ever since then. Let's see here on log scale. So once again, right here, what I've got, this set of fibs is that 100% at the $45 was the previous all-time high, down to this low of $5.95. And then ever since then, it kind of went to the it's about the 702, dropped back to the 618. It did this whole thing where it oscillated around the halfway point, this $16.36. Here, I'm sorry, I should really just extend this so it's easier to. Oh, that's why I didn't do it. But right here, it's spent a lot of time around the 50% level. Then it went couldn't get over this. It got over the 702, came back to the 618 twice. Then it ran up, and it just kind of like, you have to get really close where it kind of did the 886 at 35.73. It hung around here for a while. I remember when we were talking about this around 35.73. Anyway, it did test the support twice, went up to this 100% level again, and then just a giant engulfing candle that went higher. Now, what I'm talking, let's see. And then what I wanted to show you too was, I just undo this. Okay. So back here, back after it had come off of its $5.95 low, and it ran up in this big wick up to $10.35, and then it dropped back down to, let's see, really should be right here, $7.19. And then, so this is one of my linear scale fib projections. I was doing it even back then, just like this. And it kind of did a 764, almost the 382, then it just blew through 1382, went to the 1618. So actually what happened is that this no longer predicted it. I was looking for a high of 238.2%, and it got it, just not without, it didn't quite get what you usually see, where it goes 1382, 100%, 2382. It just got it, blew right up through there. So then, and then that predicts, where's my circles? Hang on. There that is. Circles are only show up on the 16-hour chart. So that predicted this high, which we hit. Then so next what I have to do is I go to the new high, all-time high, and then the higher low that it makes after that. And what happens is that this chart then predicts this 2382. But you know what happened is it kind of blew through that too. It went higher than the 786, not quite to the 2382, did it again. And then once it kind of blew through the 1382 and never went back to the 100%, I kind of had to look at the chart again. And you guys, if you followed us for this time period, you would see me. I kept redrawing the Palantir chart over and over and over again, just like I'm doing now, because what I'm trying to do is find one setup where it shows us a like a 764, 382, or at least a 618. This is where it did 618, 382, and then it predicted a 2382 right about. Oh, you know what I did? It was this one. I had to redraw it again. And what I'm looking for a big 1-2 is a nice spike up and a deep spike down. And this one made a really good wave 2, and so good that it actually stuck, because this is the 2382 that it predicted, right? It predicted this high right here, but it just kind of kept going to the 2618. Anyway, all that to say is that this is kind of how my linear charts evolve. Is typically over time you do get 5 waves up and that contraction, but then what happens is the former 5th wave up becomes the new wave 2. So before, this was supposed to be wave 5, and then this was the ABC down. But then instead, that just becomes our whole giant 1, 2. And then over time, it just keeps doing that. So now I'm looking at what if all this price action, because also keep in mind too, once upon a time, this was the all-time low, this was the all-time high, and then it made a new lower low. And then after that, well, this was the all-time low, and then this was the all-time high. So then getting to like this 1414 was a big deal. But then now this is 0 and this is 1, and you can look at this much retracement. Anyway, all this to say, what if someday in the future, Palantir is actually, I'm just going to delete this for a second so you can see the other one. What if this was only the halfway point right here and it kind of went over it, tested back to it? Again, it's if you just think of it as ratios, it moves about this high off the 1114 up to the 50%, comes back down, gets that 50% level again, tests back to it, and then it just takes off after that to the 786, back to the 618, and now it's getting really exciting, right? Because it's at this imaginary 886 right now. Tested back, didn't even go back to the 786, and it's gotten over it and tested back to the 886 again. So what if my actual target? Oh, by the way, this one predicts the 238 here at 350. This one right here, where this is the 0, wave 1, wave 2, from pulling all the way down from down here. Anyway, so my linear scale predicts 350, but this idea that we're at the 886 only now says we could go to 287, and then maybe we'll get sort of stuck on the way to the 114 and the 1272. Anyway, because I don't know if you saw some of those other shows or that video where I talked about something I've noticed that you can do is you can take any of these retracement fibs, even the real ones, not just these ones I've kind of I'm imagining a future, but you can subdivide these as well. So I've got like a whole thing where I just subdivide this 0 to 1 right? And so I can look at this, and I can say between this 382 and this 298, I can look for some, on a smaller scale, I can look for this action. And what did it do? Oh, here's the 50% level. That was so important. Lost it, had to go all the way back down, regain it. And then here's where it couldn't get over the 886 the first time, goes back to the 702. Well, I've got 707. And then finally makes it higher, right? Anyway, so these retracements are really important, and you can use them on any time scale. You can subdivide them, just like I've done here, between like a larger degree to a smaller degree. And you can do it the same way the other direction. You can say, like I said, maybe this is 0 to 5 in some future point in time. Maybe that's just to the 298 or I got the 2929. Anyway, these are the kinds of things I've spent. The reason why you guys haven't seen me a lot is because I've been doing a lot of this, comparing retracement log scale fibs on the left and my linear scale extensions on the right. It's still my one trick pony thing that I'm really good at. These work out really well. Anyway, that's so. The end of it is just to say, what if Palantir isn't even gotten to its 100% level yet? That the 100% level can actually be up here at 287. So, yeah, because it just keeps making new sharp 1-2s. Every time you get a sharp move like this, just like in these SPY charts, every time you get a big sharp move, a big move up and then a pullback that's deep, it just propels us that much higher. Big move, deep pullback propels us higher. I mean, you could look at any chart and you'll just see this over and over again. That's how the whole Elliott wave theory kind of got built, was based off of these 100% move, how much it retraces, and then a measured move of some kind of extension of that previous move stacked on top of the wave 1, wave 2 move down. And then here that kind of predicts this top up here. Well, actually no, because it came all the way down to here. It kind of predicts this action right here. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about Palantir. Sorry it was so long.
Kat, what about you, Mr.
You're
Palantir
never
man?
sorry that you're so long. Don't. Yeah. It's anyway. I can share some things here on Palantir. I think on more recent price action. There are a couple of things to show. One is you just put the Ichimoku here. You can see that it's really finding support right at the rising conversion line there, which is a good support. It basically just kind of back tested it today. So to me, I don't think there's really anything particularly scary about it. I can also do a can chart here. And to me today, it's just basically just kind of, broke through this arc over here and just basically back testing the arc over there. So it's not really anything particularly scary that I'm really seeing. And then on top of that, if I just kind of, I don't like this scan, so I'm going to delete it. And I just do this previous all-time high here to this low over here. What is it doing? Well, very boringly, it went up to 1.272, basically got rejected there. Where does it do? It came back to 0.86, closed the gap here, and we're okay. Find support at multiple areas here. So that's kind of what I think about the short-term price action. I think bouncing off of most support is bullish, and you know how bored I am about Palantir at this point. It's just like, yeah, find support. Okay, down. Everybody's scared because it's down like 7 or 8%, down another 3 or 4, and then close back even. Blah blah blah. Anyway, you're talking about 350 tracker. That's the 2 lock fib over here.
Yeah.
22 confluence. I think that's probably where it's going to go since it broke the 1.618 here, got rejected here for the most part 2 months here in a row. Broke through in September, October, confirmed the breakout, and now you got kind of like a candle just hanging on in space here. Has only been like 2 or 3 3 trading days so far in the month. Yeah, I think it's probably going to go higher. I mean, it's already found support on those weekly charts there. And also, you're also saying about the whole idea about Palantiring. The simple thing is this is something I also picked up from Matt as well. Whenever you have a cycle high and cycle low, if whenever it starts to have like a pretty decent recovery back about the 0.618, that's when it starts to kind of build up some consolidation. The 0.786. But once you're out of the 0.786, especially if it breaks out about the 0.86, then you really have a lot more velocity on the way up here. That's kind of what I meant by Palantiring. I came out of a video like 13, 14 months ago talking about how it's breaking these levels. Matt said it was going to have a breakout. And it certainly seemed to be playing out. And I was also looking at not just the fib level, I was also looking at the Bollinger Band expansion too. I saw signs for not just having price riding up the upper Bollinger Band, but the lower Bollinger Band was also on lock scales, also expanding to the downside. So it really made me think that something more impulsive is going to happen, and really was not a good idea at that point to really try to sell because you worry about all-time high rejection, things like that. Yeah, for Palantir, it worked out really well. It doesn't always work out for a lot of the other stuff, but there are a couple of things that that are working out pretty well. I mean, the original candidate for Palantiring was really Robinhood, and when it comes to Robinhood, it basically a very similar morphology. You can see how it has a crazy Bollinger expansion to the downside, and the rest is history there. And if you also look at basically after it broke above the 0.786 here, which took about 3-4 months to break, it just went a lot higher, right? Another example here is SoFi. SoFi did very, very similar thing here, is also showing very similar behavior, because what did it do? Well, if you do the lock fibs here, very similar, it got rejected for the most part here, is the 0.786 here. You come back all the way down to 0.382, 0.5, bounce back up. And now you're making some all-time highs here. Bollinger Band's expanding, that I was calling to be Palantiring a few months ago was iron. Whenever I saw this Bollinger Band expansion, I was like, crap, I better buy some here in the low teens. and I did, and it had worked out pretty well, because of that. One other one that is, pretty sexy for a lot of folks is, well, this is more of like a linear fib here. I can change it to log. You can see whenever it finally broke about the 0.786 over here, which took a long time to break, and you have the Bollinger Band expansion, and things just kind of went up, a lot higher. So these are just some examples. Of course, there are some that hasn't really worked out very well quite just yet. One is Coinbase.
Ooh, it's a broken stock. It's going to the trash.
Yeah, it's going to the trash. This is consolidating sideways here, forming a very nice bull flag, and it just hasn't done anything. So, and altcoins also tanked, and Coinbase also happened to help pretty well, but it's still done nothing. So I hate it. So it looks like you got a little bit of an upper Bollinger Band expansion there. But the thing about it is,
when's it going to zero though?
Well, probably gonna add another zero in a year.
Add another zero.
Yeah. Probably
So you're saying it's going to 3,000? Nice.
Well, maybe not that high. Maybe like 2,100 or something. But yeah, so far what it's doing is just basically broke about the 0.86. It just hasn't had the escape yet because they wanted to hold it down here for a little bit longer. God knows what. But the upper Bollinger Band is still expanding. Lower Bollinger Band is getting flat here. It looks like it wants to expand as soon as you have a little bit of a kind of move up above, which we haven't had yet. It just kept on wanting back test the 0.86 here. So far, we're still holding. So yeah, I'm waiting for Coinbase to Palantiring. Same thing with Tesla. Bollinger Band is not expanded yet. We'd already talked about that. A couple other ones too, like they're trying to hold back like Galaxy Digital, which I think is going to go on Palantiring, but because so far a month is going through a little bit of correction. Why is it going through a little bit of correction? Well, it's because a couple things. One is because it was a little bit over the upper Bollinger Band here last month, and it got a little bit of a bearish candle here as a result. Currently, I think we're just cooling down, trying to attack the upper Bollinger Band, allowing the Bollinger Band to expand it, kind of go up higher. But because we're going sideways here for 2 months, you have a little bit of contraction here. No big deal. As long as it's about 0.86, I think this is still a pretty bullish stock. Shopify trying to break about all-time high. Already broke about the 0.76 here. It's got some escape velocity going on the upside here. But you're healing a little resistance here, which is fine. Previous all-time high, that's resistance. That's fine. Consolidate here for a month or two. That's fine. But it's poised to really have a breakout here. So I'm not really that worried about it. This other stock that like I have a position in, but nobody really cares about for some reason, and a lot of people care about it last cycle. This cycle, we just kind of like not caring about it. I don't know why, but it's Cloudflare. Net basically going for the same thing. Push about 0.76 is just going a lot higher now. It's making all-time high, maybe getting close to back test the previous all-time high here. Is not a bearish stock. So I keep talking about this over and over again. There's a lot of these kind of stocks that are setting up the same way, and so a lot of them are working out. There's some that like Coinbase, they're just simply not working out yet. Even like stocks like Affirm. I think Affirm's getting ready. Why do I think Affirm's getting ready? Because I see this is like a bull flag. I see this is a little bit like a rising 3 pattern over here. If you also look at the volume, there's not much volume in the last couple months. It's all inside candles, consolidation right underneath the 0.786. Probably going to break up above, And then finally, I want to show Tracker's favorite, not so much favorite anymore, is EOS. EOS is Palantiring. Like there's very little doubt that EOS is Palantiring. Yeah. It's initially had a little bit of Bollinger Band contraction, but then it re-expanded. Now it's all the way to the downside, And then the upper Bollinger Band is also expanding very, very much. And I think at the beginning of the month, we're just a little bit too far away from the upper Bollinger Band. So we came back tested the upper Bollinger Band, get a little bit closer to it. Also got close to 0.786. This is a great setup. Like this thing looks like it wants to go higher. There's going to be some volatility. It's never going to be a straight line, but this thing looks like it wants to go higher over time. I find this to be a pretty decent Palantiring candidate. But can it cool down this big giant move that it just had? Sure, about 0.786. But this is one of the candidates for that. So I can keep rambling on and on, but like if I keep finding the message is this: great, all these stocks are Palantiring. Should I chase? The answer is no. You should look for better setup and get in before they Palantir, and you should probably just try not to sell if you see more impulsive behavior, because that's what the cycle is doing right now. A lot of these stocks are getting liquidity going in. Where are they getting liquidity from? I don't know. Gold's been running for 3 years. There's a lot of liquidity just kind of floating around, just waiting for rotate. SPY has been going up straight for about 3 years. Maybe it's just waiting to, for some catalyst here to rotate into something like this. The message is this: I don't think a market crash like like a prolonged bear market. I don't think it's going to come when I can still find stocks like this that are still palantiring. It's just starting the palantiring. It doesn't really make sense to me based on the liquidity cycle, based on what I'm seeing. That's all.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, if you're wondering how the stock market can keep going up, it's also kind of the same question, like, well, how are robots and AI not going to take all the jobs and leave us, all homeless and poor? When somebody had this example I was reading this morning, they had like this analyst team that, the C-suite would ask them a bunch of questions that they wanted puzzled out for them. And with AI, now they can do it like 3 times faster. And so they've got even more analysts doing more AI, because the more questions get answered, the more questions crop up. And like the more you can do, you increase complexity, and then you add more opportunity, because when you build complexity, you build more niches, more environmental niches, for example, you could say. Like, when the Earth was just ocean and you could only live in the ocean, that was like, half the planet you could live on. Then when they evolved so you could live in the ocean and on land, then, the number of places that you could live greatly increased. The advent of artificial intelligence and then the coming the autonomous robotic wave that comes right behind that, it's not going to make it so that they're going to do all the work and there's going to be nothing left for us. It's going to increase the amount of things that we can do, and therefore it's going to increase the number of things that we will do. This complexity can make the market get bigger, and more money will be required, more capital will be required to fuel all of the activity that's going on. Anyway, that's how I can see human progress allows for the markets just to continue going higher and higher.
Yeah, I'm going to spend 30 seconds commenting. Yeah, I'm going to spend 30 seconds commenting on that, and I'm going to pass it to Matt, because I think Matt wants to talk about crypto. So,
yes.
The 30 seconds spiel is this: what Trekker says is exactly correct. Basically, all this stuff is AI and robotics. They're increasing productivity. People are going to lose jobs. What are they going to do? Well, there's not enough people to buy stuff. So what are they going to do? Print money. How are you going to support money printing? Well, you have increased productivity. So this whole, scram just keeps on going, and you keep on having more money being put in the system. Next thing you know, you have excess, and people start buying JPEGs and whatnot. I mean, this stuff's going to happen over and over again. But overall, it just sucks to, hold cash. That's all I got to say. Oh, and the other thing too, like you can have a lot of unemployment and all that stuff, but eventually, like, human can also find other things that can enrich themselves with. It's not always about work. Like there are other things you can find purposes with. So we'll evolve. We'll go into a different state. But hey, Matt, talk about crypto, man. I'm gonna shut up for the rest of the show.
No, don't shut up ever. We love your voice. But yeah, real quick, we're not gonna go too much longer. But crypto, a lot of people are fearing it's gonna go crash again. And yes, now that the market is closed, after hours is closed, it is going for retest again. But on the high time frame, what we're really seeing is Bitcoin is bullish, right? This is the log based 1.272, 103 linear scale. It's still holding that 1.618 right here, 102.076. So not very scary at all for Bitcoin. Maybe for some altcoins, yes, but Bitcoin is holding levels like a champion. Not only that, monthly chart, it did touch the monthly conversion line, wicked below it finally for the first touch since April. So we got the breakout, we got the back test, and now it's time to find stability, basically right around that 103, and don't go below 100. So if it starts to close monthly candles below it, that would kind of be a trend change, because since it broke out in March of 2023, there has never, ever been a monthly candle close below that conversion line. So if there was a monthly candle close, that would kind of be it might be like, oh, like what happened back here in December of 2021. Maybe that would just be a setup for some kind of disaster. But so far, levels are holding, and I don't think we need to assume the worst right now, because this is a very healthy setup, and we've seen this situation so many times before, right? The last big consolidation in 2024 lasted like 7 months, and people were like, "Oh, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over." But it never closed any monthly candle below levels ever. Even the 886, it never even closed below that either. So that was a super bullish setup before the breakout. And here we are again. Similar situation, many months of consolidation sideways, really. It's been just stuck in between two fibs forever and ever and ever. So we're just waiting on a breakout. And when we go to Ethereum as well, it has a katana. Oh my God, a monthly katana. I know Kat really loves to see those things. And it touched it. I didn't even think that was going to be a possibility, but it did. Oh, this is the market cap. Let's go to this one. Yeah, it touched it. So that is fantastic. I am not afraid of that. I think this is one of the more bullish charts. And we can also see when we go put on the fibs too, it went right back down to the 786, which is really where it's trying to hover at right now. This is incredibly bullish, right? This is one of the more bullish stocks in all of our stocks, crypto and all of crypto, right? This is making higher highs now, finally, and it hasn't made a higher high since the downturn, right? This actually closed monthly candles above this 886, a couple of them, before going for a deeper back test. So this is set up for these fib extensions above. How high is it going to go? 7,000, 9,000, 14,000, 42,000. All of that becomes possible. Remember, gold went to the 2.272 fibs. So is that
42,000.
is that going to be possible for Ethereum if all that money from gold rotates into Ethereum? I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself, but the point is Ethereum is the least bearish chart you can find, right? There's plenty of charts you can say, okay, maybe this one's a little bit more iffy. But even when we switch to the others right here, we can see that the monthly cloud is actually basically still holding as a support because it did close last month above it. This month just started. It's just getting liquidity below it like it has almost every single month before. And this 618 fib is actually a super important zone. Why? Because it basically was the support before it collapsed and started that whole 2022 downtrend. And now we're really trying to establish a base on top of it as well. And we're just waiting to break these arcs, right? Waiting to break the arcs. And how long is that going to take? Is it going to take a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? I don't know. But I think once this arc breaks, it's ready to go. It'll be ready to go to the 324, 394, and the 492 billion. And the next level up here does sit up here at the 3.65 trillion. Not saying it is going to get there because the 1.618 fib is at the 1.65 trillion mark, but that's still a mighty increase from 200 billion right now. So even this chart, it looks better than a UPS or a Target to me, because from the bottom, it's still making higher highs. And, well, not really higher highs, but it's a series of higher lows. And it's just really a sideways consolidation forever. Since March of 2024, it's been in the same high and low range, not making lower lows, making equal lows. And all these wicks are just waiting to go higher. So very interesting chart. Not extremely bullish yet, but it's setting up to be more and more bullish, in my opinion. And I think lastly, I'll just talk about XRP too. And what XRP did on this monthly backtest again of the 225, the 886 fib from the 2018 top, right? It is still a very healthy chart. This is not wanting to break lower, no matter how many times it's trying to go test lower levels. It does not want to break lower. It does not. And you can get a better look on the weekly chart too, how it's just touching the weekly cloud over and over again recently. For the past month, it's just been trying to touch it, and it just did it again yesterday. So this 886 fib, the cloud, we even got the weekly conversion line there. This 225 zone, 238 zone, this is really looking healthy for potential breakout in the near future. So I can't be bearish on a lot of the top coins. I think what we're seeing is just a shakeout. And I think what we're going to see is maybe the narrative is going to shift to something very exciting, and then everybody's going to be all about crypto, whatever that's going to be. I don't know.
You know, sometimes I just want to turn off the candle wicks, like color the wicks something like to the same as the background and show people just like closed candles, tops and bottoms. And I think it gives a much more accurate picture.
I think you can turn off the wicks and the settings.
I think
Yeah, right here. Yeah, right here. Yeah. Oh, no wicks.
See, without the wicks, it looks much more constructive. The wicks just scare people, but they're not as meaningful as the candle closes.
Yeah.
Which is what Matt's been trying to tell you guys for like years, ever since we started doing these shows.
Yeah. I mean,
what you're trying to say is it looks a lot better when you shave.
Yeah, that's also true.
a lot.
You can see the structure is a lot better. Yeah, sorry.
All those wicks caught in your teeth.
But like, I get the fear out there that some things are looking like they're going to go to zero. But let's say even like an AVAX, it's not making lower lows, right? It's also holding a GAN level. It's also holding the 236 fib. It's not going lower. So it's just not ready to break into the cloud. But that's, like I was talking to Kat before, there's so many coins, there's so many charts that are just waiting to enter the cloud. And like AVAX is one of them. Link already tried to do that. It's just entering the monthly cloud, right? Doge is just entering the monthly cloud. Like this is a formation of things that are just like beginning their explosive moves. It's not something that's ending. And there's too many of these that are just about to maybe enter or are entering, or some are trying to break free of their monthly clouds. And when you see that scenario, in my opinion, and I think in Kat's too, I don't want to speak for you, but it's a sign of something that's closer to the beginning than it is the end.
Oh yeah. We were all excited when we saw Bitcoin dropping to 100,000 the other night. It's like, oh, finally something's happening. It wasn't that like, oh no, crypto's crashing. It was like, oh yay, finally we're getting that last liquidity grab before it runs up.
I don't think people understand that though. I'm going to try to illustrate that here with the Nikkei.
Oh yeah, show us the Nikkei.
Yeah, so basically, you remember there are two really big scary events. The first one is this thing called the yen carry trade, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around in terms of like, okay, why do people care? Apparently, the market also doesn't really care because it created a big giant dragonfly bullish, hammer candle over here, which is just a big giant liquidity grab. That's what it is, right? That's the first scaring event. Second scary event, well, the tariffs, right? April, another dragonfly candle over here scared everybody really out of it. Like, if you were buying over here, you're crazy, right? Like, what would you expect? It just made like a little slight lower low over here. Like, what is going on? Is the Japanese market just gonna keep crashing from here? Nope. Haha, forget you. Just kept going up higher. I see the same thing. This is the Outers chart that Matt was showing. You have a lot of these different, deleveraging events. I think back in, the yen carry trade was pretty scary for altcoins too. And then back in April is also very scary too. And then we just had a third scare. So we actually, instead of having two big giant wicks over here, we had like three different events here to scare the crap out of everybody. And yeah, I mean, I just don't really think that it's necessarily going to be, that's scary here. I also want to show, I didn't really mean to do that. There you go. Also want to kind of show the others next to, Cypher, because I also thought that the market structure is also very similar between these two here as well.
Ooh, nice one.
Yeah, like if you just pull out the Bollinger Band too, they look really similar here, because they basically have this rejection here, and the rejection is really more or less close to like the 0.786. I'm just going to get rid of the rest of the FIP here for illustration purposes. And I'm going to let Matt go after that because, he wants to go. But yeah, you're basically getting rejected here at 0.786, for a long time in the others chart. Same thing here with Cypher. You got rejected here at 0.786 here for like almost a whole year. And then it touched the low voltage band, deleverage everybody. Cypher's, there's no more crypto mining. Next thing you know, they're not crypto miners anymore. They're AI dating centers. They're just like boom, 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 and they just push all the way up because things are so deleveraged and things are just so tight over here, and it's just hitting a lot of resistance. They just couldn't go any higher until you have that deleveraging event that really got everybody out of it. And sure, the others chart right now is below the 20-month moving average, but so is Cypher. you're basically doing a bearish backtest over here. Like it's going to go down to zero. But no, because you had this deleveraging event, and because there's still liquidity coming in, because SPY is still making all-time highs, because the Nikkei is still making all-time highs, there's liquidity in the system, so you know that this is just a liquidity grab. And it just went boom, 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 boom after that. I wonder if the same thing's going to happen with crypto. We'll see. Not 100% sure, but
So what's the
setup
narrative?
seems to be pretty similar.
What's the narrative shift going to be? Are they going to become? Is others going to be a AI data center?
Well, I mean, like Ethereum, you can write smart contracts with AI.
Yeah.
You know, like you can have a lot of It's so easy to put AI narratives in crypto.
Yeah. Well, Base is already doing that for
It's not even
Coinbase.
funny. It's anyway, and I'm being like,
yeah. Base, like the Coinbase platform, AI developers are already on there doing that stuff, but nobody's really talking about it right now. But I'm sure that's going to be a narrative that it's just going to explode Base one day, and then that's going to benefit profits for Coinbase or something. That's just going to be massive. But yeah, I can see an AI narrative for crypto coming soon.
I'm sorry. I have one chart I want to show. I promise it'll be like 30 seconds or less.
Yeah,
it's
right.
a Bitcoin. Just to make people feel. All right, you can hear me. All right, so here it is. So I worked on this afternoon, and I said, a lot of times these Gantt charts, usually you start them down here at the bottom, but I thought, let's just start with the price a little bit more meaningful than like $1. So in 2011, Bitcoin doesn't really know its worth. I just kind of skip over that. I start down here at $21. You could buy a Bitcoin. You could buy a pizza back then with a Bitcoin. In 2013, Bitcoin starts by following this 2/1 angle. It's too sharp. It loses it, drops back down, and then quickly matures. By 2015, it's doing the 45-degree angle, the 1/1 angle. Just for reference, I kind of threw in this extra angle between the 2/1 and the 1/1. That's this purple one. It's not a real Gantt angle. It's just in between. And then it explodes back towards the 2/1 angle, but can't get it. And now you get this arc come into play, holding it down. It stops at the upper arc, tests down to the lower arc, gets back over the upper arc, does one liquidity grab, which all it does is simply test back to the 45-degree angle again, right here. Explodes again, now towards this reference purple angle. And then it drops back down. It flirts with breaking it actually broke the 45-degree angle right here in 2023. You guys remember how 2023 felt terrible overall. But then it just kind of oscillates, rebuilds, and ever since 2024, late 2023 into 2024, it's back over the 45-degree angle again, this 1/1 angle. And all that's happened this time, like what everyone was so freaked out about, is that we just dipped below the 45-degree angle again. We just wicked through it, and that's it. And now we're just trying to establish back on top of it again. I guess I'll feel better. I'll be able to tell, say much more positive things once we get back over this angle again. Maybe it's going to oscillate around it again before building up higher. But eventually, it really has never broken this 45-degree angle since it got back over it in 2023. And yeah, that's where we're at. I just kind of see it following this angle for quite a while. If it goes sideways for too long, it'll just try to catch it back up to the angle again, which is what happened here between 2024 and 2025. It just kind of went sideways. I'm sorry, no, that's not right. Well, anywhere where you can see if it gets under the angle, it just has to run back up again. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. The thing that was so scary this last weekend, it's barely a blip and nothing compared to what we had in 2023. Yeah, and so I've kind of got this zone marked out here that the zone of probability is that we could see 212,000 by 2027 to as much as, it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily go here. It could go here or it could go here. But the zone is between 212,000 by 2027 to 719,000 by 2029. There, that's all I wanted to show with Bitcoin. All right, back to you, Matt.
I think
Well, you
that's
should
about it.
really look up Tracker. You should really look up the song David Allen Coe, Three Biggest Lies. I don't know if you
Listen,
you're
guys.
I don't know if you're familiar with David Allen Coe. It's not safe for work, so don't listen to it when anybody else is around. Just do it in the bathroom or something. Okay.
I will look it up.
Yeah.
Listen,
do
guys,
it later. Don't play it now.
I got 30 seconds to tell you something. I only need 15 minutes of your time.
I guess in my head it's always 30 seconds.
That's it. I promise. Maybe 20 minutes. I don't even know. But yeah, go ahead. I think that's all we got. I mean, overall, the theme of this story is of this podcast, of this show is I think there's possibly years left in this rally.
Yeah.
Years. That's what I think.
Yeah. I
Not
mean,
just
I
one.
think there are a lot of really beautiful charts they're setting up a base right now, like PayPal, Rivian, and I can keep naming them. I think a lot of stocks haven't even started contemplating £2 here quite just yet. But I think give it time, I think they will. So it makes me I agree with you. So
Yeah.
But no, David Allen Coe, Three Biggest Lies. Look it up.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Why are you sorry? Yeah.
The show went a little slower than I had planned on.
Just
No,
look at
it
the
never
lyrics.
goes to plan.
Just look at the lyrics for now and listen to it later. Don't show it, okay? Just
Okay.
All right.
But it
Sorry,
never
I
goes to
think
plan anyways, because we should just always improvise, because that's just who we are. That's just who we are.
But we're really bullish about 2025 back in 2024, and it ran up really high. Then we at one point it was just where we started, but now we are higher. It's just we're back where we were really excited back here at the beginning of the year, but it's just building a base to go higher again.
Yeah, who knew that Bitcoin was going to go for a correction in 2025, right? Wink. Yeah, anyway.
But over the long period of time, it's actually just building up higher and higher and higher and higher.
Yep.
Yeah, and 100,000 is now a correction too. So that's just.
Remember when people said, "Oh, it'll never go to 100,000."
Yeah, and now that's a correction.
That's the base. That's the minimum it's going to be.
Let's get off live right now, and then we can listen to that song together.
Okay, that sounds good.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you guys for indulging us. We hope we helped you a bit.
Later.
Thank you.